Good day, everyone. I am Mailen R. Jaminal from Bagbag National High School and will be presenting an action research entitled Peer Teaching Through Math Antics, an approach in improving the academic performance in mathematics of grade 9 students. For the introduction, many students find mathematics as one of the difficult subjects because of the different formula needed for solving problems that they need to analyze. This is the core rationale why there are innumerable students who are not interested in listening and participating during their mathematics class. They do not see the importance of learning the different topics in mathematics. According to Vasai, 2010, he stated that peer teaching greatly affected the intellectual and moral values of the students, such as the ability to express their ideas, mastery of the different concepts, time management, sense of responsibility, sharing, self discipline, self reliance, self confidence, resourcefulness, cooperations, obedience, and so on. It is the main reason why the well known peer teaching with the use of math antics was used to measure its improvement into the performance of some grade 9 students in Bagbag National High School. For the research questions, the study sought to answer the following. First, what are the academic performance of the low-performing students as well as the high-performing students through their first quarter grades? Second, what are the results of the pretest in mathematics of the control and experimental groups? Third, is there a significant difference between the post-test results of the control and experimental group? For the scope and limitations of this study, it involved the participation of only one section in grade 9 from Bagbag National High School for the school year 2019-2020, who received the intervention of peer teaching using math antics and some motivational materials. The lessons will focus on the direct, inverse, joint, and combined variations, which are topics for the second quarter. The researcher had chosen who among the selected grade 9 section were the low-performing students as the tutees, divided into control and experimental group, and the high-performing students as the tutors, who executed the help through different creative and useful devices in teaching, such as math antics videos and worksheets. For the intervention, the implementation of this peer teaching using math antics, videos, and worksheets, which consist of the logical and visual activities, and basic computations as well. Here are the methodology. So study employed the quasi-experimental research, utilizing two groups. These are the control and the experimental group. Both were given pre-test and post-test design. So as the research paradigm, so I have here the experimental group and the control group. Both were given the pre-test. After the pre-test, the experimental group was given peer teaching using worksheets and videos in math antics, while the control group, just the ordinary direct instructional approach. After the given intervention, the peer teaching, both the experimental and the control group were given post-test, which was then analyzed. As the result of that, of course, here are the participants, by the way, of this study. The 20 grade 9, specifically St. Luke student of Bagbag National High School. They started on the second quarter of the school year 2019-2020. So that was from August to October 2019. So here are the instruments. The study are the validated 30-item teacher-made test. It was used for the pre-test and the post-test, including math antics videos and worksheets. Some additional documentary analysis was obtained through observation by the researcher. For the data analysis procedure, the researcher used mean, weighted mean, the standard deviation, and t-test. So here are the results and discussion. So looking at the table, so here is the descriptive statistics of the controlled and experimental group. On the pretest of control group, it has an average of 7.5, which is lower than the experimental group, which is 7.9. And the standard deviation of the control, which is 2.01, which is also lower than the other group that has the standard deviation of 2.13. It only shows that there is no significant difference in the pretest. For the result of the post-test, here is the control and experimental group. Looking at the mean and the standard deviation, so the mean of the control group is 16.1, while the experimental group, it is 19.7, so which is higher than the control group. And for the standard deviation, 2.6 for the control and experimental group, which is 3.19, 896. So here's also the result of the controlled and experimental group using t-test with a test value of 1.812. So it showed that the control group is quite lower than the experimental group. So the table reveals that the difference between the post-test results of two groups, since the computed t-values of 17.3 is greater than the critical t-value of 1.812 at 5% level of significance with 9 degrees of freedom. This means that there is a significant difference between the post-test results of the control group and the experimental groups. It implies that the experimental group who was exposed with peer tutoring or teaching approach performed better than the controlled group, who was just exposed to a direct instructional or the traditional approach. This is supported by the mean scores of the controlled group, which is 16.7, and experimental group of 19.1. As the conclusion for this research or study, the teaching learning process or strategies and materials with the use of peer teaching through math antics in treatment group highly affected and improved the academic performance compared to the control group, who received the usual direct instructional approach of teaching mathematics. The effects on the academic performance of the students in the experimental group were remarkably high compared to control group. This action research also showed that peer teaching increases students' ability to store and recall information, increases student motivation, engagement, confidence, and self-esteem, as well as reduces academic-related anxiety and helps students apply learning in different contexts. So here's the references. So there are 5 references presented. And that's all. Thank you very much, and God bless everyone.